Peter, huge congratulations. You've won the Half-Ton Classics Cup with a day to spare. I gather this actually makes it a hat-trick for you. Tell me about that.
Well, many years ago, when the boats were racing in IOR days, I tried a couple of times to win the Half-Ton Cup and failed. And then in 1986, I was on indulgence when we won the 3/4 ton Cup in Torquay. More recently, with the 1/4 tonner revival, we've won that a couple of times, and there was some unfinished business with the Half-Ton Cup. So I thought I'd have a go at it before I retire.
Now you've chosen an interesting boat to come and take on this challenge. Tell us a bit about Swuzzlebubble.
Well, you know, sometimes when you go through life, there are favourite boats, and I remember back in '78 when I first saw the pictures and the plans for Swuzzlebubble and Gunboat Rangariri. Actually, there was 3 of them built, but 2 of them were Gunboat Rangariri and Swuzzlebubble. I just thought that they were the most fantastic boats that I'd ever seen, and they've always stuck in the back of my mind. If ever I wrote down a list of 4 or 5 of my favourite ever boats, Gunboat Rangariri and Swuzzlebubble were at the top of the list. And some years ago, somebody said to me, "What's your favourite boat ever?" And I wrote down Gunboat Rangariri, and I found Gunboat Rangariri in Italy, but the guy wouldn't sell it, so I decided I'd track down Swuzzlebubble, the sister ship, and eventually found it in Greece.
What sort of state was she in when you found her?
She was in a pretty sorry state. She'd fallen over in a storm about 15 years ago and had smashed the bow, and had been left, and had basically everything had been stolen off it and taken off it. There was no fittings, no engine, no keel, no rudder, no mast, and she was lying in a sort of a scrapyard in Rhodes in Greece. So she was in a pretty sorry state. But funnily enough, the hull was in quite good condition and the deck was quite good condition. I think probably because it was quite dry out there, so it looked terrible, but actually structurally it wasn't too bad.
So how long has it taken you to get her back into the condition we see her this week?
Well, we spent the winter doing it. We got it back here last October, November from Greece, and then spent 3 or 4 months rebuilding it, and you know, put a new keel on it, new rudder, new rig, and sailed it earlier this year. So it was a big job, but it was, you know, it was something I needed to do, some unfinished business, I think.
Very good. Now, the half-tonners have, obviously we know you very well from 1/4 ton sailing. The half-tonners have very slightly different class rules for their boats. How's that affected what you've been able to do to Swuzzlebubble as you've brought her up to date?
Well, funny enough, the half-ton rules are a little bit more open than the 1/4 ton rules. For example, we've got a carbon rig on our boat, and we don't allow carbon rigs in the 1/4 tonners. But generally speaking, they're not that different. You know, we don't allow changes to the hull, and nor do they. So the rules are pretty similar, except for the rigs, I think, and I think, you know, it makes quite a big difference. The fact that you're not allowed to touch the hulls, I think, is a good thing, but you're allowed to update the boats, which is also a good thing, I think, because I always think with these boats it's very important that you can remain competitive within the local fleets, and 1/4 tonners and half tonners are reasonably competitive in IRC. Certainly in light winds they're competitive, so therefore they're nice little boats to own, because you can do classic events like this and the 1/4 ton Cup in the 1/4 tonners, but you can also race relatively competitively at club level in IRC, which I think is a requirement. It's always a difficult balance between the originality of the boats and the current rules, but you know, both 1/4 tonners and half tonners, in fact all IOR boats were development classes. You know, when I had 1/4 tonners back in the old days, and indeed half tonners, you know, you would constantly change them and improve them, and if necessary change keels and rudders and what have you. So it's a development class, it's not a one design class, so it's a balance between keeping the originality of the boats and also allowing them to be competitive within the IRC rule, which is really just to replace the IOR rule. So you know, we've done quite a few things to the boat. We've paid quite a lot of attention to detail. A lot of the things we learned from the 1/4 tonners we managed to work into this boat, and it's all worked out pretty good.
It has indeed. We have had a stunning week here. This has been unbelievable weather. How have you found the racing out on the course? What's it actually been like for you as sailors out there?
Well, I mean, the race office has done a fantastic job. I mean, the start lines are absolutely spot on. It's almost impossible to pick the bias. You know, the windward-leeward races have been spot on. I'm not so sure about racing around all these rocks. Dodging rocks is, you know, it's pretty difficult when you're not sure where you are, but it's been okay. It's been fine, really. And we didn't hit anything, which is always means that we did all right. But
Good thing.
But no, I mean, today the racing was just stunning. You know, we had sort of 16 to 20 knots of breeze, not a cloud in the sky, and it's just such a lovely part of the world, Brittany. And the food is good, the restaurants are good. It's great. It's amazing.
What more could we ask for?
Exactly.
Now, nobody wins these things on their own. Who have you had sailing with you this week?
Well, I've had some of the guys that sail with me on the quarter tonners, Kelvin Rawlings, who I've been sailing with probably for 35 years now. Kelvin and I have done Admiral's Cups and 1 ton cups and 3/4 ton cups and what have you before. So Kelvin and I have sailed a lot together. Anthony Haynes, who did a lot of work on the boat over the winter, and Dave Lenz from North Sails, who's done a fantastic job. He stepped in for my normal tactician, Jules Salter, who couldn't make it this week, but we've a lot of the guys that I've sailed with quite a lot before, and I think it's helped us a lot because we've worked together before and we understand each other, and that's been quite a big part of it, I think.
Well, so you've got the 3/4 ton cup to your name, you've got the 1/4 ton cup to your name, and now the 1/2 ton cup to your name. What's next?
No, I think that's about it. I think I said to my wife last year, you know, one thing I'd like to do before I finish with racing is just tick the 1/2 ton cup up, so I'm not sure she'll allow me to do much more. And so I think that might be it for now. We still enjoy them. They're just such great little fun boats to sail, you know. I've done quite a lot of sailing on TP52s and these asymmetric bowsprit boats, and while they're incredibly quick and all very what have you, these boats, they're quite quirky, these little boats. They're quite difficult to sail, and I think tactically the racing is better when you've got spinnaker poles and what have you. So I'm really enjoying sailing it, actually, irrespective of the fact that the boats are all 30 or 40 years old. In fact, Swuzzlebubble was built in 1978, but they're good fun boats to sail.
Fantastic. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you continuing to sail your 1/2 tonner, and congratulations again, a great result, and wonderful to watch you race.
Thank you.